Title: I found dress shoes in my backyard, then discovered my wife's secret affair. Chapter 1. The grass wasn't the only thing growing. I had just returned from a 4-day business trip. Nothing unusual. I travel about 4 times a month for work, just a few days at a time. My wife and I have been married for 4 years. No kids yet. She's a vet technician, usually home by 6. We live in a nice house here in Florida with a big yard that always needs cutting. After settling back in for a couple of days, I decided it was time to mow the lawn. The grass had grown wild while I was away. I started as I always do, front to back, letting the hum of the mower fill the quiet. That's when I saw them. Near the back fence, half hidden in the bushes, a pair of black leather dress shoes. Just sitting there. At first I thought maybe someone tossed them over, but as I got closer I realized they weren't just old or discarded. They were expensive. Slick. Recently worn. Not the kind of thing you accidentally leave behind in someone's yard. I picked one up, turned it over, and saw fresh grass stuck to the sole. The leather wasn't cracked or faded. They hadn't been there long. A day or 2 tops. They weren't mine. Too small. Too fancy. Definitely not my style. And definitely not something I'd forget if I ever owned a pair like that. I carried them inside and set them by the kitchen trash can, unsettled but trying to stay rational. Maybe someone jumped the fence. Maybe a neighbor kid kicked them over by mistake. I told myself not to overthink it. When my wife got home I showed her the shoes. She blinked once, shrugged, and said maybe someone had been in the yard, retrieving a ball, maybe. Just a misunderstanding. But the thing is, who takes off their shoes to chase after a ball? And who forgets $200 dress shoes in someone else's backyard? I said nothing more. Just nodded, pretending to let it go. But as I cleaned up the kitchen and she went about her evening like nothing had happened, I couldn't shake the feeling. Something didn't sit right. And then, as I wiped down the counter, my eyes drifted toward the hallway, and I remembered, quiet and subtle like a whisper in the back of my mind, we installed security cameras last year. Chapter 2. The shoes told the story. The next morning, after she left for work like nothing was wrong, I poured myself a coffee, sat down at the kitchen table, and opened the security app on my phone. We only had cameras covering the front, the driveway and yard, but they recorded everything and saved it for 30 days. That should have been enough. I started scrolling through the footage from the days I was gone. Day 1 looked normal. She left for work, came home around 6, made a solo grocery run. Nothing out of the ordinary. Day 2, same pattern. Routine. Predictable. But then came day 3. At 2:14 p.m., a black sedan pulled into our driveway. Clean, newer model, tinted windows. The driver got out, a man mid-30s maybe in a dark tailored suit. He looked sharp. Professional. Like he was headed to a meeting. He walked straight to our front door carrying a clipboard. Before he even knocked, the door opened. She was waiting for him. No hesitation. No surprise. Just a soft smile and a quick step back as she let him in. The way she moved, she knew he was coming. I kept watching, fast-forwarding the footage, waiting to see him leave. Nearly 3 hours passed before the door opened again. She walked him to his car, casual, calm, nothing suspicious, at least to the untrained eye. But I noticed something. He wasn't wearing the same shoes. Gone were the sleek black dress shoes he arrived in. On his feet now were plain gray sneakers. Comfortable. Easy to slip on. It was subtle but unmistakable. My heart sank. They must have gone to the backyard. The one place without camera coverage. The one blind spot. And sometime during whatever happened back there, he changed his shoes. That explained the pair I found near the fence. I stared at the footage, frozen. She opened that door before he even knocked. He came prepared with a prop, the clipboard, the suit. It was all just part of the act. Something he could play off if a neighbor saw. A business visit. A consultation. But people don't spend 3 hours estimating lawn care. And they sure as hell don't leave wearing different shoes unless they've done something worth sneaking away from. I didn't say anything that night. Didn't bring up the shoes again. I acted normal. We had dinner, watched TV, talked about nothing. Because deep down I already knew. And when the same sedan pulled up the very next day, this time even earlier. Chapter 3. Disguises and Patterns. The 4th day was worse. It was barely noon when the black sedan pulled into our driveway again. Same man. Same suit. Same clipboard in hand like he was on some kind of business call. And just like before, she opened the door before he even raised his hand to knock. This time, though, there was no hesitation. She smiled wider. She stepped aside faster. The routine was familiar now, too familiar. I watched them disappear inside. 3 hours later, the door opened again. He walked out wearing the same dress shoes this time, like he remembered the detail he'd forgotten the day before. But my wife, she made a mistake. Just as he turned his back heading for his car, her hand reached out. It brushed down the length of his spine, slow and deliberate, like she was memorizing it. Like she couldn't help herself. And that was it. That single touch, that unconscious gesture. It said everything the footage couldn't. This wasn't business. This wasn't innocent. This was planned, practiced, repeated. I saved the clips. Screenshotted his face. Captured the license plate number. I needed to know who this guy was. So I started digging. I took the clearest image and posted it in a local Facebook group, one of those neighborhood watch pages. Said I thought he might have hit my mailbox and left. Just fishing. Within 3 hours I got a bite. One woman commented, "Looks like the guy from Precision Landscaping. He gave me a pool quote last week." Another confirmed it, said he was a contractor. Ran a landscaping and pool maintenance company. Did service calls all around town. Clipboard. Backyard visits. Normal reasons to be on someone's property. It all clicked into place. They had built a system. A cover story. A polished look with just enough professionalism to fool anyone watching. And it worked, right up until he left his shoes in the grass. That slip, those shoes, ruined the perfect act. But the more I reviewed the footage, the more I saw him. Over and over. Same car. Same time windows. Always when I was away. It was a pattern. It was a ritual. It was betrayal dressed up in routine. And as I sat there, piecing it all together, my jaw clenched and my chest hollow, I realized something else. Something cold and final. She didn't just let him in. She waited for me to leave. Chapter 4. Quiet moves, loud exit. After that, everything changed. Not on the surface. Not in our routine. We still shared meals. Still talked about the weather, bills, weekend plans. She laughed at my jokes, kissed me on the cheek when she left for work. But underneath, I was already gone. I stopped asking questions. Stopped waiting for the truth. I didn't need it anymore. I had the footage. The timestamps. The screenshots. The man's face. Her hand on his back. Her eyes when she opened the door, full of something she used to look at me with. I met with a divorce attorney the next day. He confirmed what I already knew. Florida's a no-fault state. The cheating didn't matter in court. But that wasn't what I was after. I didn't want revenge. I wanted control. I wanted out before she even knew I'd let go. So I started preparing. Each day while she was at work, I moved a little more out of the house. Important documents. A few clothes. My passport. The watch my father gave me. Things she wouldn't notice missing right away. I moved them all to my brother's place. Quietly. Carefully. I kept smiling at her. Kept holding her hand. Pretending. I even told her I had another trip coming up soon. Business in Tampa. 3 days. She smiled, nodded, told me to be safe. She had no idea I'd already filed the paperwork. And then the day came. She left for work like always. A quick kiss. A to-go mug in her hand. Her usual wave from the driveway. The garage door closing behind her like a curtain on the last act. As soon as her car disappeared down the road, I got to work. I printed everything. Screenshots from the camera, timestamps from the videos, clear shots of her guest's face, and a full summary of every visit I'd tracked. I even printed the website of his landscaping company, circled his face in the team photo like I was drawing a map. I laid it all out on the kitchen counter. Every lie. Every visit. Every moment she thought no one was watching. Then I wrote a note. Not angry. Not bitter. Just the truth. I know. I've known for weeks. The papers are already filed. There's nothing left to say. I left the note on top of the evidence. And I packed the rest of my things. The bedroom looked strange once my side was bare. The house quiet. Peaceful. Like it had finally stopped pretending to. As I closed the front door behind me for the last time, I felt something unexpected. Not sadness, not rage, just relief. Because I knew that in a few hours she would walk in expecting the life she'd been faking, and instead she'd find the ruins of the one she destroyed. Chapter 5. Dignity intact. It's been 8 months. 8 months since I walked out of that house and never looked back. Since the day she came home expecting everything to be exactly where she left it, and found nothing but silence and a note that ended everything. She called. She texted. At first, non-stop. Then just once in a while. Eventually she stopped. I only responded once. I asked her one question. Why? She couldn't answer. Didn't even try to lie. Just silence on the other end of the line, and a breath I'll never forget. The sound of someone who suddenly realized how much they'd thrown away for nothing. We met again once at the courthouse. The divorce was simple. No kids. No shared accounts. No savings to divide. Just signatures on paper and the dull echo of footsteps down the marble hallway. She looked tired. Not physically, she still wore makeup, still dressed up, but in her eyes, there was a weariness I hadn't seen before. Like she was finally being honest, even if only with herself. I didn't gloat. Didn't say a word. I just handed the paperwork to the clerk and walked away. No drama. No scenes. Because what more was there to say? She had made her choices. And I had made mine. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It wasn't even the months of pretending. The hardest part was accepting that the woman I thought I knew had never really been there, not in the way I needed, not when it mattered. Now I live alone. It's quieter. Simpler. Some days are still hard. Trust doesn't come easy anymore. But I sleep better. I don't wonder what's happening behind my back. I don't scan the driveway for unfamiliar cars. And every time I pass a pair of dress shoes in a store window, I remember how something so small blew open the truth I had tried so hard not to see.